Thank you, Toastmaster, fellow members, and welcome guests. The definition of a turning point is a decisive change in direction. So if I'm, for example, pursuing this direction, and in a moment I make a decisive change to pursue this direction, that is a turning point moment. And to answer the question, who is Steve Blakely, I am going to share with you 3 turning point moments in my life. The first turning point moment happened when I was 17. I was on drugs. I was kicked out of high school. And I spent more nights on the streets than I did in my parents' home. The turning point moment happened when my mother met with me. I probably hadn't seen her in maybe a week or 2. And while we were meeting, she had a nervous breakdown right in front of me. And just feeling her pain was a definite change for me in terms of a turning point. And from that day forward, I changed to pursue a new direction, which was to be clean. I moved to a different city, lived with my grandparents, went to a different high school, graduated, and then went on to graduate post-secondary. The second turning point happened when I was 27 years of age. And I was working in a growing technology company. I was a leader in this company. I was also a partial owner in the company. And I had realized all my goals that I set out for my career at this young age, including my financial goals. And it was actually depressing because I expected so much more content and happiness, and I didn't have it. And so that was a real turning point for me because I started to search for meaning. And that sent me on a new path in a new direction. The third turning point moment for me was 5 years later when I was 32. And I had met my wife at the time through ballroom dancing, and we were just friends at that time. But she challenged me to look for meaning in a personal relationship with Almighty God through Jesus Christ. And that allowed me, I was skeptical, but I was hungry for meaning, so I pursued a research journey that lasted about 8 months. And I had read many books that were recommended to me to read to help answer questions and fill some of the intellectual gaps I thought there were. And I also had a chance to experience God through an Alpha course. And that's when my third turning point happened. I found meaning, and when I believed and received God's love and received His Spirit. And I won't sugarcoat it, it's been much more of a challenging journey than I ever imagined, but the more challenging it gets, the more God shows up in amazing ways. So the first turning point was the realization that of the pain I caused others, specifically my mother. The second turning point was the realization that career success and finances, good finances, was, for me personally, empty and meaningless. And the third turning point for me was the realization that when I pursue God and serve others, I am truly happy. And Now this is my icebreaker. And whatever preconceived perceptions you had of me before this talk, I'm sure are now broken.